Welcome to our webinar entitled Empowering People with Parkinson's, Real Stories, Real Results with Activator Polls and Program. And I just want to acknowledge Rodrigo, who is our marketing manager, who assembled the wonderful group of people that you're going to hear from today and put this presentation together. I just get the joy of facilitating, which is certainly easier than what he accomplished. So I am the owner of Urban Polling. My name is Deanna Oliver, and again, just feel very privileged to be with all of you here today for this really amazing opportunity that Rodrigo has put together for all of us. And we talk about empowerment. It's a really powerful word. And I think for me, and certainly I know I speak for my team, it's testimonials and videos and stories from our consumers, from our clients, from people all over the world who are using our polls and who are experiencing benefit. That's what drives us. That's empowering for us, certainly, to know that we're making an impact in people's lives. And this is just one example of that that I just want to briefly share for you. That was H, and H shared a wonderful testimonial about the fact that he feels like he can live the life that he wants to continue living, doing things with his grandchildren, being active with his family. And that's honestly, it's music to our ears. So with that said, welcome officially to everybody. I found this quote and I thought it really resonated in terms of what's going to happen here in the next little bit, in that stories are a communal currency of humanity. And really, when you think about it, when we share our personal stories, our testimonials, without a shadow of doubt, as we're sharing a piece of ourselves, there's somebody out there who needed to hear that story. And so, thank you again for everybody who is here and who's about to speak with us. So our first panelist is Bill Meyer. Bill is the founder and board emeritus of Pass to Pass, which is a wonderful organization that promotes hiking and such to those living with Parkinson's. And so, Bill, thank you for being here. And certainly, Bill, as we talked about, just to share your story, your testimonial, whatever you'd like to offer up, we're very happy to hear in terms of your experience and with your polls as well.
Good morning. My name is Bill Meyer, coming to you from Spokane, Washington on a beautiful bluebird day. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2009. As the disease progresses, I am experiencing more slowness of movement, rigidity, balance, and gait issues. I have been using activator poles for 2 years now on walks of any distance. I find there are 3 significant advantages to using activator poles. First, the ergonomic grip allows you to put weight on the poles without having straps. You can let go of the poles if it gets stuck between planks on a bridge or rocks or tree roots. Second, the adjustable locking pin eliminates the chance of the pole collapsing. I had a friend a couple weeks ago where his poles collapsed and he went to activator poles. Third, the tips can be changed out depending on the walking surface or terrain. The bell-bottom tips work great for hard surfaces or indoors. You can choose boot tips, the trekking tips, or steel tips on various trail conditions. I started a multi-day backpacking organization, passtopass.org, where more and more of our Parkinson's hikers are using activator poles. for balance and confidence to continue getting outdoors and exercising as long as possible. Most of all, the activator poles give me more confidence and lessen the fears of falling. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, thank you, Bill. That's a good story to stick to. Certainly, we appreciate what you've shared, and it's really so similar, but yet so special in terms of what others have shared too in their experience. And congratulations on Pass to Pass. It's a wonderful organization that you started, and certainly, making a huge impact for this community. So really happy to have you here. And thanks again for sharing your testimonial. So with that, just a brief intro here to Melissa Tafoya, who isn't with us today, but she's the owner and head coach for Rock City Boxing Sacramento, also known as Hope in Your Corner. And she had shared with us these videos of just some of her classes and the impacts of how she's using the poles. And so I'm just going to play this for you briefly right now. Really nice short snippets, but just showcasing that certainly the poles are great for walking and ambulating and hiking and all of those things that Bill shared, but there's many different ways that they can and are being used to support balance and engagement in different ways. And so thank you, Melissa, again for sharing that with us. We really appreciate these videos and just how people are leveraging poles and program. And now moving on to Michael Soniak. Michael was introduced to us by Wendy Wilkerson, who is the owner of the Empowerment Neurofitness and Wellness Center. And Wendy also is Rock City Boxing coach and works with us as well on our clinical evidence team. So thank you, Michael, for being here, and just love to hear your story and personal testimony.
I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to do this. My name is Mike Soniak. I'm 78 years old. I'm a retired Marine. I was in the Marine Corps for 32 years. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2018, and I joined Wendy's gym, as we call it, in 2019. The fitness program that Wendy has includes urban polling. There's a lot of other things we do besides strength training and so on. But we use the poles for a lot of different things, particularly before we start walking. We use them for warm-up. So we take them and we hold them out straight. We do turns with them. We do back forth motions with them. And that helps us to get ready and warm up prior to actually starting the walks. We have a park in Virginia Beach that we do our walking in. It has a lot of different paths, and you can go from like a quarter mile to 3 miles on the paths. The polling itself, I have it with me right here. It's a fitness edition of Urban Pole 300, and we use it, and it helps me with cardio, flexibility, and stability. What's really cool about this is I have not had to increase my meds since I started the program with Wendy. And obviously the urban polling contributes to that. I'm a firm believer in the use of the urban poles and their contribution to overall fitness. The one thing I would like to add too is my mom is 101 years old. She used to. That's all I got. Thanks.
That's thank you, Michael. You'll have me going here in a moment. Just to say, Wendy has mentioned your mom, and how wonderful it was that you know, were able to walk together with your poles. And that was, again, just another heartwarming story. So thank you for sharing that, and fantastic testimonial. We really, really appreciate it, and just so happy. And Wendy is somebody that I have to say, certainly all of our instructors are very, very special people, but I know Wendy, you know, really goes the extra mile with you guys. And so I just wanted to say that because I know she's pretty amazing, amazing individual.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay. So our next speaker, we're just switching gears a little bit here. This is Dr. Kathy Harrow. I'm going to let Kathy share a little bit more about herself, but I met Kathy several years ago at a conference, and knew immediately that she was a powerhouse in the industry. And certainly her credentials speak for themselves. And I also just want to acknowledge, and Kathy, I'm not sure when you wanted to introduce your guest speakers that you had brought, Chaz and John, but feel free certainly at any point that you would like to bring them forward. But thank you again, Kathy, for being here and sharing your wealth of information and what you're doing to engage this wonderful community.
Thank you for that introduction. Can you allow me to share my slides now?
Oh, I have your slides here. Would you like me to just advance them for you, Kathy? Is that okay, or do you want?
Yeah, that would be just fine.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me speak today. I am a physical therapist and a board certified neurologic clinical specialist and a certified Nordic walking instructor. And I want to speak today about Nordic walking exercise with the activator poles to optimize walking function in Parkinson's. You can go ahead and advance. And I'd like to start out by just highlighting the concerns about gait decline in Parkinson's and how we can be proactive, and how Nordic walking and use of the activator poles can address some of these issues. Some common clinical signs that we see that you're all familiar with: that slowed speed and shorter step length, reduced arm swing, and some problem with rhythm and automaticity in the walking. And certainly some people experience some freezing episodes, and having to have increased attention to walking, especially in complex environments. So laying this groundwork, as a physical therapist, we work proactively with individuals to address these gait issues and provide strategies for daily exercise to optimize walking function. So today I'd like to talk about the importance of task-specific walking exercise to preserve safe and efficient walking function and to reduce overall motor dysfunction. So you can go ahead and advance. So as you know, the combination of Parkinson's-specific medication and exercise activity-based training is the best approach to delay disease progression and optimize health and function. That means you got to practice those walking and mobility skills, be proactive about that, maintain functional power and strength, engage in activities to reduce fall, and keep that motor system tuned up for optimal function. We know from the research that moderate intensity aerobic exercise is critical for heart and brain health in persons with Parkinson's. You can go ahead and advance there. So moderate to higher level physical activity clinical research shows preserves walking function. It is neuroprotective for slowing disease progression, and it enhances brain health and what we call in our clinical world neuroplasticity, those processes in the brain to protect the brain. Those individuals with Parkinson's who engage in 150 minutes or more of exercise a week have less disability, slower disease progression, and enhanced quality of life. Therefore, individualized aerobic exercise prescription that's task-specific, challenging, and feasible is needed to optimize walking function. So that's where I come to talk about in my Nordic walking program. So what is Nordic walking exercise? It's a fitness exercising using the activator poles, mimicking cross-country skiing. It requires full body movement demands and aerobic exercise demands. As a matter of fact, the energy expenditure with aerobic walking is twice that of comfortable speed over ground walking, based on the research. It does require some coaching to learn the technique and skill. And research shows in in older adults that it benefits cardiovascular function, motor function, balance, and strength. Go ahead. So you can advance that there. So the therapeutic benefits of Nordic walking for individuals with Parkinson's. This is a video of an individual performing Nordic walking exercise. And as you can see, he's planting the poles at an angle to the ground, using them to propel himself forward. And this provides some therapeutic benefits specific to what we talked about in terms of the gait deficits in Parkinson's. It increases stride length and gait speed. It enhances the rhythmicity and facilitates that inner limb coordination that sometimes that rhythm can get off. It drives that a little bit. And the Nordic walking poles engage those upper extremities, so addresses that arm swing, and actually acts as a rhythmic cue for gait function. And specific to those activator poles, really enhances upright alignment and promotes postural stability. So those are some of the therapeutic benefits. You can go ahead and advance there. Specific to the activator poles, and in my clinical experience, both in my clinical work and in my clinical research, I have used standard sports poles and the activator poles. And I would just like to highlight why I am now in my Nordic walking program in the community using solely the activator poles. I think the ergonomic grip provides a platform for active propulsion with the Nordic walking, so that plant push propel component. It promotes wonderful upright posture and activation of those core muscles. It enhances individuals' dynamic balance and their balance confidence in their walking. Obviously, active engagement of both arms and the core muscles in the Nordic walking technique is facilitated with the use of those poles. And I have really noticed that it enhances stability, walking confidence and walking speed to do some pushing, some interval training, which individuals might not feel comfortable doing without the activator poles. We utilize the boot tips in our program, but for individuals, I've done a lot of individual instruction as well as group instruction. And if individuals have more trouble with balance or their gait is more progressed in terms of their Parkinson's, then for stability, we'll utilize those bell tips and alter the strategy. So I'd like to just briefly share with you before I hand the mic over to my two participants, a little bit of the benefits from a clinical research perspective. So myself and colleagues at Grand Valley State University in the physical therapy department and cell and molecular biology department engaged in a 6-month-long clinical research study to investigate immediate and long-term effects of Nordic walking exercise in persons with Parkinson's on their walking function, on their daily steps, that activity level, on motor and non-motor symptoms, that disease severity marker, and on exercise-related biomarkers, brain health markers. We looked at the feasibility and sustainability of an individualized progressive program and engagement after a supervised program. So I have a reference there for you. Due to time, I'm not going to go into detail on the study procedures, but individuals engaged in a 6-week individualized training program followed by a 3-month independent Nordic walking training phase with remote coaching. And we assessed individuals at baseline, post-training, and at a 3-month follow-up. So you can go ahead and advance that slide. So our research findings supported significant improvements immediately post-training and sustained at follow-ups. We're looking over a 6-month period here of walking endurance and walking efficiency, average daily steps, which is a very important health marker that tends to decline subtly, even in early Parkinson's, but particularly as the gait progresses. Improved gait speed, comfortable and fast walking, and this is all without the poles, and Parkinson motor symptoms. So the Unified Parkinson Disease Rating Scale is a marker of disease severity. Typically, we see anywhere from a 6 to 8 point decline over each year. And we had an average 6 to 8 point gain over the course of our study. I think it's also important to note that non-motor Parkinson's symptoms also improved in 75% of our participants. And that was in areas like cognition and sleep and mood. So our study supported that this is a very safe and effective mode of task-specific aerobic exercise training, and that it enhances daily ambulatory activity level, long-term engagement, increase the brain-derived neurotrophic levels. Those are those markers that support neuron health and repair in the brain, so neuroplasticity. So I really took this to the community because I saw how Nordic walking exercise helps to ameliorate gait decline and facilitate neuroplasticity to slow disease progression. Go ahead. So my last slide just highlights that as a what's happening in West Michigan, as a certified Nordic walking instructor, I conduct small group and individualized Nordic walking instruction using the activator poles with the boot tips for persons with Parkinson's and their walking partners. I have instructed individuals with a wide range of PD severity and disease duration, and I know that all demonstrate the ability to learn the technique and benefit from this mode of exercise. I also run a Nordic walking social club. So we do weekly walks at paved park settings along the Grand River and through nature preserves. And in the winter, our Michigan winters, we're in a local Y at a large indoor track. So great benefit of group walks, not only to maintain engagement throughout the year, but also good social connection as well. Each session includes a full body warm-up with activator poles that target dynamic strength, balance, and flexibility, as well as a cool-down session. Our participants walk for 45 to 55 minutes, covering anywhere from 1.5 miles to almost 3 miles at a steady pace with some interval work to get that cardiovascular burst. So that kind of provides you a little bit of background from our perspective, and I'd like to hand the mic over to Chaz and John to just share their participants in the social club of Nordic walking, and just to share their experience with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
You first, John, or me?
Chaz, you go first.
Okay, John. I'm Chaz Shaner from Caledonia, Michigan, 67 years old, diagnosed in 2016. I want to thank Kathy for all she's done for us and does for us. I was in the Grand Valley study, the original study with, I think, about a dozen of us. And right from the beginning, it helped so much. Like I say, the markers, my abilities went up, and I've continued it, and I love to continue it. Like a couple days ago, typical day, you wake up, you don't feel real great, and I go out for a couple-mile walk. My golden retriever loves it, but I get, you start out slow, and by the time you're done with the 2 hours, the rest of the day went so much better. It just never fails. And so it's been great that we've got great settings to go, but during the winter time we had the Y that we can go, and it is a fun social time. We've connected, sometimes we push each other, and Kathy doesn't hold back either, she's like, get your right arm moving, punch it, and get going. And it does help. And if I don't do it, I don't feel as well. And that's the bottom line. I just love it, and got my wife poles too, so we go out together. So just thank you.
Thanks, Chaz. I'll jump in now. My name is John Verano, and I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I was diagnosed a little bit over 2 years ago with Parkinson's. And I decided right away at my diagnosis that I was going to, as we say in Rocksteady, fight back. So I involved myself in a variety of exercise programs for my Parkinson's, because exercise is really important. And the Nordic walking is a key component of what I'm doing. There aren't two me, so I don't have a control me to see what my life would be like if I hadn't been doing all these things. But the real me is still not on any Parkinson's medication. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. That for me, I'm really happy that I'm not on the medication yet. And I really feel that Nordic walking and the other exercise regimens that I'm doing are a key component of that. Specifically about the Nordic walking with the activator poles, I think the grip is really important for me so that I can do the plant and push and without straps getting in the way of my wrists. Also, the walking club that Kathy has put together is really, really important for all of us who are involved in it. We've got a great support group where we are helping each other and thinking about each other and supporting each other in our Parkinson's journey. And I just know that a lot of us wouldn't be walking as much if we weren't making a commitment to walk with each other and support each other. So that's a really big deal for all of us. And not only are we supporting each other, but turns out we're pretty good friends with each other as well. Finally, what Kathy is doing with the walking club and the full body warm up and the cool down at the end is really important. We all know that with Parkinson's, stretching is paramount importance. So the whole program that she's giving us with the warm up, the walk, and the cool down is really essential to growing in the program and keeping those symptoms at bay. That's what I have to say.
I agree wholeheartedly, John.
Well, that was thank you. Yes, Kathy, and thank you, John and Chaz. Those were, again, just really amazing testimonials. And John, I think you hit on something there. You know, the social aspect of this really is so pivotal. You know, certainly you can do it on your own, or as you say with your wife, Chaz, that's still very social. But in a group setting, it's something special. And so I think it's really nice that you shared that. Both of you noted that. And Kathy, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, for what you're doing for the community, and really very broadly, you know, people all over the world will watch this and benefit. So thank you sincerely for being here, and for all of you for sharing your honest stories with us today. So now I'd like to just very quickly play a very short testimonial, and then I'll be introducing our next guest speaker who's here with us today, which is Anita. So just one moment here. What I'm going to do is, if I can actually sort the technology, which is.
Hello, I've been asked to briefly discuss the activator poles that I've begun using and how I feel they have benefited me. First and foremost, with my Parkinson's, mobility has been an issue, and the poles have contributed greatly to improving my mobility in a number of ways. First of all, I stand taller with them. I'm not slouched over. I've visually regained about 2 inches of height. And rather than having to press down to move forward, I'm actively using my arms, my shoulders, so that you're getting actually a little bit of a workout and an exercise in the process. The poles offer me improved mobility in a number of ways. One, in trying to turn around in tight spaces or even just making corners, I can adjust the poles independently to support myself as I'm making the turn. Another definite benefit is in stairs. Those of you with walkers, I'm sure, have experienced the difficulty of trying to maneuver and get walkers up and down stairs. With the poles, I can actually use them, or I can take them in one hand and use the railing to stabilize myself. Another benefit of the poles for me has been that, depending on if I'm having a good day or a bad day with my Parkinson's, my speed changes. I can adjust the speed and I can support myself accordingly, depending on how fast I am able or not able to go. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Very nice. Okay, let me see now if I can get back. And once again, yes, I think we've done it. So thank you to Amanda Tibbetts from ACTS Retirement Life Communities, one of their locations, who shared that video with us. Really, really appreciate that. And now, as I said, to introduce our next guest speaker, who is Anita Santazier. I met Anita recently at the APTA conference, but was introduced by Dr. Joy Cochran, who works with us as part of our clinical evidence team, but also has her own business, Joy of Explorations. And she met with Anita, I believe it was at the PWR retreat. I hope I have all the connections right, but Anita, thank you so much for being here with us today, and would just love to hear your experience and your story.
Thank you. So I live in Montana, and I come to Parkinson's from 3 different perspectives. First of all, I've been a physical therapist for the last 40 some odd years. I have to tell you that before my mom got Parkinson's and before I got Parkinson's, I thought as a physical therapist, I knew on Parkinson's and I understood Parkinson's and I could be, maximally help my clients. I have to tell you, for me personally, it wasn't until my mom had Parkinson's and I was her primary caretaker for 10 years before she passed. And I learned a ton more then. But it really wasn't until 5 years after my mom passed that I was diagnosed with Parkinson's and now living with Parkinson's that I really learned what it really means and how to best help myself and other friends. It's so funny as I talk. I'm not nervous at all, but all of a sudden the symptoms go, right? Everything starts shaking like it's a machine. But you're correct. I was at the PWR, so Parkinson's Wellness Recovery, and they did run a fabulous retreat in June down in down in Phoenix, Arizona. And it was there that I was introduced to the poles. Joy was fabulous. But I've been an athlete all my life, and I've tried everything for Parkinson's. And I have to say that using these poles is the first time that I don't have negative results with my positive results from activity, meaning that first of all, it takes very little time to get the hang of it. You may not be perfect, but it's not so demanding. I mean, I was terrible at tango for Parkinson's. I was terrible at boxing for Parkinson's. There was just a number of things I wasn't very good at. And I was a great athlete, so that was a little tough for me to handle. But I got good at the poles pretty quickly. And it was really important to me because I've been a runner all my life. And so just walking out on the streets and seeing people running, I covet that movement. I want that movement. And that's what I said to Joy. And so she took me aside and gave me some personal things just for strengthening. But it was that in coordination with taking those poles back home and walking our beautiful streets here in Missoula. And I bought 2 sets also, Chaz, because I thought if my friends came with me, then they would need the poles too. But I don't give them the poles anymore because I can keep up with them with the poles. But if I give them the poles and I have the poles, then I can't keep up with them. I do always keep 2 sets because, like many of you, people are always asking your experience with Parkinson's, and so I want to give them a chance to use our poles. And so I've told a lot of people, but some people are a little hesitant to make the purchase, and so they would get other poles, and they're just not as good. I mean, I had standard poles before my poles came in, but I think the hand position and the little boot tips. And the material that these activator poles are made of are very different and advantageous. So now I have 2 sets, and I give my set away to my friend, the person that I want to try. So then they try it, and then they want those poles. Then they don't want the standard poles. And so there's 2 last things I wanted to say. I ultimately bought the poles that can be disassembled into 3 pieces because it then fits in my bag that can go on the plane. I can't travel anymore with big suitcases. I'm just not strong enough. It's just too hard. So the other poles didn't fit in the 2-piece set. That didn't fit in my carry-on. But the 3-piece set, that fits in my carry-on. So it's fabulous. And then I can tell you that 2 years ago, before I went to that retreat and was introduced to the poles, I found out that I couldn't run. And most unfortunately, I found out when I was jaywalking across the street, and I almost got killed because I didn't know that I couldn't run. And I just hustled across the street and the car almost hit me because I didn't allow actually enough time. Now I run on a treadmill, walk 1 mile. I started out doing it. It took me 18 minutes to walk 1 mile. I used to run 7-minute miles. I've done marathons, but that was before Parkinson's, right? So now just practicing, I can run 1 mile, walk 1 mile in 11 minutes. It's exhausting, but it's fabulous. And most of that is from the poles. And I've been able to go from the poles of just walking to be able now to, I play pickleball, that's what I'm dressed for. I play pickleball almost every day, and I can run from place to place. The first month I played pickleball, I fell on the court. I had never fallen. But now people ask me to play in tournaments. They don't even know I have Parkinson's until I start shaking. So thank you so much for bringing this to me and to all my friends and colleagues, and carry on.
Oh, well, thank you, Anita. That was just such a wonderful testimony as well. And just so uplifting, I think, for so many people, that will be in just sharing that how much you've been able to build up your strength again and do other things, and I think that's a really important factor, is that there's so many other facets, that are contributing to this, but the fact that you're able to play something else that you enjoy and get back to running, that's just such a wonderful thing. So thank you again for being here and for sharing that. And thank you to Joy and PWR for helping to bring all of that together and you to us. So thank you, and enjoy your game today. So now this is our final speaker, except she wasn't able to join us live for this particular portion. Sunhan is actually a doctor of physical therapy. She's also a master trainer of ours. She's part of our clinical evidence team, and she works out of a Toronto-based clinic called One Step Ahead Mobility. That's her and Jan, who's the owner of the clinic. And Summer would just like to share her testimony from the perspective of a therapist and how it has supported her clients as well. So just switch this over.
Hello, my name is Senhan Anderson. I'm a neurological physical therapist specializing in Parkinson's in Toronto. I see my clients in an outpatient setting and in their homes. I'm very excited to be here to share my clients and my experience with using the urban poles during our physical therapy sessions. I introduce the use of poles to my clients because there are many evidence-based studies that show benefits of using poles with Parkinson's. I love the urban poling poles because they are very sturdy, well built, have comfortable ergonomic handles, and the ledge is key to improving posture and stability while my clients are walking and exercising. Also, the activator poles come with bell-shaped tips, which provides extra stability compared to the poles with smaller base. My clients tell me they are more confident with their walking when using the activator poles. For someone who needs to work more on posture or balance, I introduce the activator style walking. We'll watch a video working on posture and the activator style walking. I'll share one real life experience of my clients who walked with the walker, but she was shuffling her feet, was bent forward and leaning on the walker. I introduced the activator poles to her. We started with standing posture using the poles, and then we started doing a few standing exercises while keeping the posture upright. Her balance was pretty good, so we tried using the poles to walk, and she wasn't shuffling. Her posture was more upright, and her arms were moving compared to when she was using the walker and the arms were stationary. It took a few sessions to work on her walking using the poles until she felt confident to use the poles on her own. She now uses the poles for short distance walking and while she does her exercises. And she uses her walker for outdoor long distance walks. Some of my young onset Parkinson's clients love walking with the urban poles to get that extra aerobic exercise and strengthening up their arms and core muscles compared to when they are walking without any poles. For higher level or young onset Parkinson's clients, I introduce the urban pole style of walking to improve their stride length, their arm swings, and fitness. Let's watch a video with the urban poling style of walking. Thank you for listening and keep on moving.
Amazing. So Sunhan is here with us today as well. And I'll just move into that just in the Q&A just to have her unmute herself and actually just share a little bit more. But all to say, I think what everybody has shared today is very much in line with the fact that movement really is medicine. And I reference this from the standpoint of what the Parkinson's Foundation released a few years ago and the guidelines and what's recommended. And Kathy's already graciously taken us through all of that. But all of these testimonials and stories, really bring out the fact that this is what it's all about. This is game changing. This is life changing. And you think about movement, I often am reminded of what I would say to my kids when they were younger, that you have to eat the rainbow. You've got to have different color, all different types of vegetables. It's the same thing with movement and exercise. It's not one thing. While we're here today talking about the benefits of polling, which are obviously amazing, and we would love for everyone to do it, there's many, many ways that you can achieve this. And I think the fact that all of you are embracing this and it's a part of your life, such an integral part of your life, is really inspiring, and it makes a difference. And certainly having you here today has been really amazing to be able to hear your personal stories, and I'm 100% confident that you have touched others and inspired others. So truly, thank you for being here. And now we just like to open the floor, so to speak, to more of a live Q&A. I know we're approaching the end here and there's just a couple minutes left, but if anybody, I know Sunhan, had a couple things to say also, but if anybody else would like to share their story, we also have Wendy here from Rock City Boxing, which is wonderful. Anybody is welcome to unmute yourself and certainly ask a question of any of the people that are here, or just share a comment if you would like. Seem to be things. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Some people are adding to the comments. If you have a question, you want to type it into the chat. Actually, that's another great way of doing this. Lots of thank yous. No price tag on enhancing quality of life. That's a very nice statement. Let me just see here. Any other questions for any of our speakers, or how do I find a local teacher? Great question. We do have some of that posted on our website tomorrow, but we can certainly, depending on where you're from, we can certainly try to connect you. Okay, Ellen asks, is there a difference between the activator poles and the urban poles? Sunhan, did you want to answer that one, or would you like for me to? So the difference between the activator poles and the urban poles are essentially that the activator poles were designed more for an out front positioning. So the activator poles have a button lock system, flat base. They also offload more, and it's a very different technique versus the urban poles. The urban poles still have wonderful offloading capacity, about 90 pounds per pole, but the activator is 200. And the urban poles are used on an angle. They're designed to propel you forward versus the activators. If you do have concerns around balance, we don't want to propel you, we want to support you. And so the activator poles are used more out front. Both have wonderful ergonomic handles though. And so and we can certainly share more of this. You'll get a follow-up email with the recording. There seem to be a lot of questions coming here. Let me see. Karima, we can follow up with you about Rocksteady boxing classes in Ottawa. I'm not 100% sure on that. If anybody from Rocksteady knows, feel free to chime in. There are PWR trained people in Toronto and the GTA. I don't know about retreats though, but that's something we can help you with. Thank you, Carlene, for your feedback. Wonderful. So if there are no questions for any of our speakers here today, then all to say that we very much appreciate again everybody being here. It was a really, really nice, oh, sorry, let me just. Yes, Jenny, we'll get back to you. Actually, Jenny's just asking on the list of the conditions you would recommend the activator poles versus the urban poles. We can definitely come back to you with that, Jenny, if you don't mind. If you could even just put, Jenny, your email in the chat, then we can certainly, follow up with that. But I just want to say, thank you so much again to all of our speakers here today. You've really made a difference. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do that. That was wonderful. And also, I just want to acknowledge, because many of our speakers came to us through, various partners and organizations that we've had. And so just want to share, and acknowledge that because we don't take these things lightly. And certainly we appreciate all of our partners, and there's wonderful resources with them as well. So please do take the time. LSVT, PWR, Dance for PD, Rocksteady, Davis Finney, the Michael J. Fox, certainly organization, our polls were actually incorporated. Also, there's a wonderful book that was released last year, Christine Meldrum. She talked a little bit about us, but lots of great resources out there. And we're just so happy that we have, the partnerships that we do. And certainly if you're interested in starting up a program, certainly what Kathy did, as you heard, it's changing lives. What Wendy's done, so many of our Sunhan, so many of our instructors and Joy, certainly. So do email us to find out more. You can send an email to info@urbanpolling.com and learn about our training, as well as getting professional pricing. And then if you're just looking to try out the polls for yourself, there's lots of places that you can find them. And again, you'll all receive feedback via email with the recording of this webinar and some of these additional details, but we're always here to help. So do feel free to reach out, at any time. And thank you again for being here today, to all of you, and for being a part of our broader community. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.